The Oracle Network.
How do you spell DiGiorno?
DiGiorno.
I got Rio Day, and then I need Gennaro.
Again?
She can't spell it again.
Jan.
Show it like a hold on.
E. I.
Hello, friends.
Hey guys, welcome. I'm Abby.
And I'm Shauna.
And this is Anxious.
And Afraid.
We're a podcast.
Where we talk about spooky things.
And, things that aren't spooky but are terrible.
All the terrible things.
Like true crime and conspiracies.
Natural
and
disasters.
all of them.
All that salsa of bad.
It's an anxiety salsa.
Anxiety salsa. Love it.
I'm sure to give you heartburn.
Yep. Do you want me to just go ahead and ask you?
Sure.
Okay. I mean, Abby, it's been a week.
Yeah.
How have you been anxious or afraid this week?
Well, Roscoe gave us like a good reason mostly for Michael early this morning. I slept right through the main event of Roscoe puking last night, and his tummy has been upset, and it just is intermittent. I don't know what it's from. I'm gonna have to take him to the vet, I think, because who knows? Maybe he's allergic to something. I don't know, but
that sucks, especially when you just like can't figure it out, or like you just don't know what triggers it.
We're not changing his diet. Like, he's with us all the time, so I know he's not getting into stuff. So I'm just like, what is wrong with you? I feel so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so Michael was awoken at like 4 a.m.
That's early.
and cleaned up a bunch of barf, and I didn't wake up at all. Like, not even playing. Like, I wasn't pretending that I was asleep. I had no idea that happened until I woke up early, like at 7:30, and I had to pee. And I left the room and found more puke and was just like, what happened? I was just cleaning up puke all morning. And
That sucks so hard.
yeah, and then he puked right when you got here, too.
Yep, I saw that.
It was a little one.
It was a cute little one.
He got too excited, and then he had drank water, and he was just like, bleh.
Just a quick little what?
So we're keeping an eye on him, but that's been stressful.
It's hard to be parents to pets.
It really is, because they don't tell you what's wrong with them.
And they act like it's fine.
Yeah, they act like it's fine.
But then there's something wrong.
Yeah, so I feel bad.
Yeah.
I hope we figure it out. What about you, girl?
Speaking of the same thing, Maya, my problem child, spoke too early about the litter boxes. That's fine. It's just going to be a thing forever.
Oh, damn it. It's blue again?
Yeah.
Shit.
I know. And then
Shit and piss.
literally everywhere. So, like, she's doing that everywhere.
No!
Like, it was like, I don't know how many days ago, but it was like literally a sitcom, like, child experience where they're like peeing or pooping while you're holding them and running like to the bathroom or something. And I was literally doing that with Maya to like take her outside to the porch, and she's just like pooping. And that was fun for a whole day.
Wow.
So I'm still doing that. And now I'm dealing with her teeth, poor little thing.
God.
I'm getting her teeth pulled next week. So
Not
now
all of them, just
no,
a couple.
just a few that need it. And so now I have to deal with that. So she's a hot mess express, man.
Man, our animals.
I
What's
know.
going on?
And like Chad's actually going to be gone next week. So I'm going to be by myself.
Oh, that's nerve-wracking.
So that's crazy.
Well, I'm sorry you're dealing with all that as well. Poor Maya.
I know. And Lou's just fine and fat.
He's fat and happy. He just enjoys a good massage. And
He does. It's the weirdest thing. He loves my massage gun. It's hilarious.
yeah, her like vibrating, like violently vibrating, like
Hardcore
massage gun.
for like
He
my neck and
loves it.
shoulders. He begs for it. He like hears the click button on, and then he's like meow,
So funny.
waddles up to me, and he's waiting for his turn.
I watched it happen. I was like, what is happening?
It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
You'd think any cat would be terrified of it. They'd be like, nope, get me out. Our cats hate him.
Yeah, Maya hates it. She's like, get that away from me. But Lou's like headbutting, like telling me he wants it now. And I'm like, excuse me. You wait your turn, you little thing.
Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, and then so I guess we'll just mention that we're gonna like take a couple breaks here because we have some busy weekends coming up.
Oh yeah. It'll be another 2-week break after this episode.
Yes.
Yep, just stuff going on.
Out of town stuff.
Won't be able to record, so we're sorry.
We're sorry, but we remembered to tell you this time.
And I know we've been taking a lot of breaks lately, but
Yeah.
well,
It's been a weird year.
it has been a weird year. A lot of stuff going on.
Busy.
But we love doing this and we do it when we can.
Exactly.
And but I have kind of like a longer episode today, so
Oh, great. Well, it's so on brand for you.
so you guys can maybe just listen to half 1 week, save the other half
Oh, there you go. Spread it
for the
out.
next week.
Yeah. And Abby's doing another episode. I failed and I didn't finish an episode on time because I had the most killer migraine that I've had since probably before I was medicated for it. Because now I can't take medication for it.
Right.
And it was a nightmare.
Right.
It was the most intense thing. I'm surprised I didn't cry because I was like, don't you dare cry because it'll
Makes
be
it
like
worse.
10 times worse.
It's so sucky.
I felt like I was stabbed in the eyeball and in the neck for 24 hours. It was very intense.
That is so brutal. I would be scared of like if I don't get to take drugs, like does it go away?
No, you like literally have to wait it out. Like just ice packs and Tylenol like doesn't do shit.
Ugh.
And so, yeah, so it was so much longer than I'm normally dealing with migraines. So that was just like, please don't let me have too many more of these.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That sucks. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it was intense. So I'm sorry, I failed.
You get 2 in a row from me. Lucky you guys.
Yay.
Michael also pointed out that means I'll be back to odd episodes and you'll be back on even episodes. I think it was she planned it.
That's
This
so
is all a
funny.
ploy.
I was gonna make that same joke. I was like, I honestly just lied, and I really wanted to be back to even.
You're like, oops, my head hurts and I can't do an episode.
Whatever. I've been odds for a long time because I started with number 1. So
We've switched back and forth.
we've switched back and forth, but I think I've been odds most of the time.
Well,
It's your turn.
I'm taking it back. I think, yeah, because I titled this episode 84, but it's actually 83.
Yes.
83. Well, is there anything else we need? Is there any other
Nope.
thing on our agenda? Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
Let's do this.
Girl,
I'm ready.
get ready. Okay, because I'm incredibly excited
Oh.
to bring you this story today.
Oh, yay.
It's one I've always been fascinated by, and I'm pretty sure you are too.
Okay.
Okay, pop quiz.
Oh.
Why do we love Mother Nature so much?
Oh, because she crazy.
Yes, girl, and sometimes she goes hard.
Okay, I have no idea what you're doing, but I'm already so excited.
Oh, in today's case is a shining example of why you should always respect the power of Mother Nature.
Oh, here we go. We were just going on an Earth rant, and now we're just gonna dive right into it.
I know, before we recorded, we were getting all fired up, and I was like, well, this is on brand. You got to respect her, okay?
Yep.
So, after you did that episode on the Wakari eruption, I became inspired to finally cover the devastating 1980 Mount St. Helens volcanic eruption.
Dude. Volcanoes. Okay, I'm so stoked. You can't control these things.
No,
dude.
and this one
Terrifying.
happened like close to where we live.
That's true. Where is it? Is it like more in
Washington.
Washington? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, one state over. And like, to be honest, the story is even more intense than I initially thought. We're talking like 4 major cataclysms all wrapped up into one mind-bendingly intense event.
Yes.
So you ready not to breathe? Because
I'm already struggling.
gotta learn how to breathe.
Okay.
Dear God. All right. So, something that is so fascinating about this case is that it happened during a time that it could be filmed and painstakingly
Yes.
recorded.
Yes.
So there's a ton of video and photo footage.
that's like mine too, where it just makes it so much more real.
Right? Because you can see it.
You can see it.
You can easily watch it on the internet, which is just
Gross.
it's so weird. And if you are interested in a couple of good documentaries about this case, I found Fire Mountain, the Eruption and Rebirth of Mount St. Helens, and National Geographic's Surviving the Mount St. Helens Disaster to be really good. And both of those are like my main source material for today. The Nat Geo one is actually, I think it was just from last year it was made, so it's really good.
Okay, I'm down to watch those.
Yeah, I think if you have Disney Plus, it's on there. I think that's where I watched it.
Gotta get it.
Okay, so yeah, and like I said, it's also weird knowing this happened just like one state away from us.
Very close.
And I know our parents have stories. I know my mom has stories of like keeping the ash as like a little reminder, like the ash fall.
Shut up.
Yeah, I think Michael's mom was talking about it not that long ago about having ash from it.
But, I mean, I'd probably do something like that too, but that
I
makes
totally would.
that gives me chills for some
right?
reason.
Just to like have a piece of it.
Okay.
Ooh. Okay, let's get down to biz. All right, so first I'm going to go over a little Mount St. Helens history and science to get us nice and acquainted with this beautifully spicy volcano. It's going to be just like middle school earth science.
Love it.
You're going to love it. I'm your unqualified teacher, Mrs. Love. Ew.
Mrs. Love. It makes us sound old.
It does. I'm like, that's my mother. Mrs. Love. Gross. Okay. All right. Mount St. Helens is located in the Pacific Northwest in the southwestern part of Washington State. More specifically in Skamania County. And I really badly wanted to pronounce it Skamania because I just think that's really funny. But the way it's spelled is Skamania.
I see.
Ska music. Skamania.
That's funny.
It's not how you say it. Disrespectful. I think it's Skamania County.
Yes. Okay.
The mountain is located about 50 miles northeast of Portland and 100 miles south of Seattle and was considered the 5th highest peak in Washington. In terms of size, according to Wikipedia, before the 1980 eruption, the peak rose more than 5,000 feet above its base, and the mountain is 6 miles across at its base, which is at an elevation of 4,400 feet on the northeastern side and 4,000 feet elsewhere. So she big.
Mm-hmm.
Mount St. Helens is classified as a stratovolcano or a composite volcano. That means that the volcano is built up by many layers of hardened lava and tephra, which gives it the iconic like conical or cone shape.
Mm-hmm.
Then at the tippy top, there is usually a crater from which the contents of the volcano spew out.
Right.
While stratovolcanoes may be the most common type of volcano on planet Earth, the explosive eruptions they can produce are anything but common. One very famous example of a stratovolcano popping off was the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in Italy, 79 AD. I know the Pompeii people certainly remember.
Yeah, that's a big classic one. That's terrifying.
I used to be so obsessed with Pompeii as a kid. I was like fascinated by it.
Oh yeah, I mean, because you can like, there's like, isn't there like pictures of like the
You can
crusty
go-
bodies?
You can go see I think they have them in like exhibits.
Yeah, like they still exist. Like you can just see how people died and like in the positions they're in. And
It's so
ew,
morbid.
ew, it's so gross. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a morbid child.
Can you? Yeah, like how can you imagine just like seeing a huge cloud of ash and then you're like just gonna know that you have no time to do anything and die.
Right, you're like, I guess I'm dying now.
Like you have no control. That's why Mother Nature's crazy.
It happens so fast. Okay. Let's see. Now, most Earth volcanoes erupt near the edges of the Earth's tectonic plates. We all remember those frisky little tectonic plates. Tectonic plates are constantly moving. They grind over and under each other, building up massive amounts of pressure and heat to crush and melt the rock in their path, which becomes magma. Magma, which is made up of pressurized mix of melted rock and volcanic gas, is squeezed upward through cracks in the Earth's crust. When it nears the surface, rising magma causes the ground to bulge, creating volcanoes.
It's almost like an Earth zit.
Oh my God, I was just about to say, as I said this, Michael also said this. We all said it in different ways. I said, as Michael once put it, planetary pimples. It's like Mother Nature like ate some greasy pizza and she has a breakout.
That's funny. Okay, we're all on the same wavelength here.
Yeah, we all imagined zits. Planetary Pimple sounds like a band name.
That's more literary, so it's better than Earth Sit.
Earth zit.
Yeah. Good job, Michael.
Yeah, Planetary Pimples really rolls off the tongue. Okay, so when the pressure builds too high, the volcano will erupt. Pop, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in reference to Mount St. Helens, the North American plate collides with the Pacific Ocean's Juan de Fuca plate. Yeah, Juan de Fuca plate, moving at the rate of about an inch a year.
Ooh.
Over thousands of years, it has created Mount St. Helens and the entire Cascade Mountain range, including Mount Rainier, Mount Hood, Mount Shasta, and every major mountain in the Cascades.
Yep.
Those tectonic plates be working. According to the documentary Fire Mountain, of the 1,500 volcanoes in the world today, 550 are on land. 300 of those surround the Pacific Ocean from Chile to California, Alaska from Siberia to Japan to New Zealand. And do you know what this is called?
Oh, is it the Ring of Fire or something
Yay!
like that? Ew.
Oh, look at you passing.
I'm like smart sometimes.
That was a surprise pop quiz.
Oh my god, I passed.
I surprised myself. I was going to just tell you, and I was like, let's test her.
Oh my god, I'm so happy about myself.
Gold star. Yes, the Ring of Fire and the Cascade Mountain Range is a small part of it, and it's called the Cascade Volcanic Arc. For whatever reason, I didn't realize that was part of the Ring of Fire.
Oh.
I thought the Pacific Northwest wasn't cool enough to be part of the Ring of Fire, but we're a part of it.
Okay.
We're in the club. Okay, as for how old Mount St. Helens is, she's actually a relatively young volcano compared to her other volcanic family members in the Cascade Range. She's like a little baby volcano. It formed only within the last 40,000 years, and the summit cone present before its 1980 eruption began rising about 2,200 years ago. Are you ready for a fun fact that will blow your mind?
Yes.
The ancient pyramids in Egypt are older than most of Mount St. Helens.
Whoa.
Isn't that crazy?
That is nuts.
That's so weird to think about. There's already humans on this earth
Building crazy things.
while that mountain was like forming.
Weird.
Time is so weird.
Yes, it
That
is.
kind of stuff always freaks me out.
Like your brain can't, it can't compute it.
No, no. All of that happened before we got here. I'm pretty sure.
It's just so weird.
Okay. Yeah, and Mother Nature's like, are those Egyptians like trying to copy my look before I can even achieve it? She had some self-growth to do. And then she grew into a beautiful, active volcano. The most active volcano in the entire Cascade Range, in fact.
Oh.
So quite the glow up. The 1980 eruption that we will be discussing was definitely not the only time Mount St. Helens popped off, or even the most devastating. About 3,600 years ago, the Native Americans who lived near the mountain were forced to abandon their hunting grounds and homes after an eruption 4 times the strength of the 1980 eruption.
Oof.
Which is pretty insane once you hear like the numbers for the 1980 event.
Yeah.
4 times that is just, it's bananas. So Mount St. Helens was considered sacred land to many Native American tribes, such as the Klickitat, the Cowlitz, and the Yakima tribes, who feature the mountain in some of their stories and rituals. But of course, the white folks came a-stealing and a-conquering.
Always.
And one British fella by the name of George Vancouver.
That's where that comes from.
Yes, the Vancouver, for whom the city is named, was a commander in the Royal Navy on a mission to explore the Pacific coast in 1792. He set eyes on the glorious mountain and decided to name it after one of his friends who had absolutely nothing to do with the area or the mountain.
Just my friend Helen.
Helen! His name was Elaine Fitzherbert, also known as Baron St. Helens. He was Britain's ambassador to Spain and apparently volcano name material.
Interesting. That's like out of nowhere. Okay.
I know, he's just a pasty white fella. I was like, what?
What a dumb decision, of course, by
Such
white
a weird... I don't know. I've always had this quandary about people just naming things. I'm like, you're just naming it after yourself.
It already had a name, actually.
It did have a name. I'll talk about it. And
Okay.
they named it after this pasty white man. Vancouver also named other mountains after his friends. Mount Rainier, Mount Baker, and the Puget Sound, among other things, were named after his friends and associates.
Puget Sound is a weird name for a person.
Yeah, right? Puget?
Ew.
I don't know what his first name was.
Hope they were good friends.
Frank Puget. I don't know. All right. So, never mind that the indigenous people of the area already had a name for the mountain, as we just said. They called it Lawula Clough or Lewitt, which meant smoking mountain.
So much cooler.
Yeah, right? Or it's also been called Fire Mountain. Well, that's the white translation, but...
Sorry, I just got interrupted. It's Peter Puget.
Peter?
Peter Puget.
Peter Puget had a Puget. No, I'm trying to... It sounds like it's going to be a rhyme. Peter Puget.
Got that alliteration.
Michael, I'm going to need you to write a poem while we're doing
I'm
this.
good.
About Peter Puget.
Nah.
Peter Puget. That's great. Okay. So also, the mountain has also been called Fire Mountain.
Makes sense.
Yes. All right. So there's another typical story of white people naming sacred things after their friends or other things that they just wanted. Pretty typical. So Mount St. Helens is considered the most active volcano in the Cascades within the last 10,000 years. According to History.com, Mount St. Helens had 9 main eruptions prior to the 1980 eruption. Each pulse of eruptions lasted less than 100 years to up to 5,000 years, with long intervals of dormancy between them. Between 1800 and 1857, a large explosion followed by a series of smaller eruptions created the Goat Rocks lava dome, which was a geological feature that was later destroyed by the 1980 blast. In 1975, the U.S. Geological Survey geologists forecast that Mount St. Helens would erupt again. And they said possibly before the end of the century. And they were correct.
Very correct.
Yeah, so that was 1975 they were saying that.
And 5 years later?
Yeah. Now, by the time the 1980s rolled around, Mount St. Helens was a popular spot for tourists, hikers, campers, nature enthusiasts, all kinds of people. The mountain attracted many visitors every year. I mean, it was a stunning place to go see. If you look at photos, it just is so picturesque.
Oh, for sure.
It's beautiful. There's like clear mountain streams and lakes and wildlife and...
Again, like, what are the odds anything's going to happen while you're on it?
It just looks peaceful.
Yeah.
When you look at it, you're like, yeah, nothing bad would happen there. So families vacationed there in places like Harmony Falls Resort, Spirit Lake Lodge, and Truman's Mount St. Helens Lodge. And we will be revisiting the Truman's Mount St. Helens Lodge later to talk about its owner, Harry Truman, who became kind of a local legend / hero in this story. And many of those attractions were located near Spirit Lake, which was located to the north of the mountain. But on March 20th, 1980, Mount St. Helens would awaken from her 123-year slumber when she was shaken by the largest earthquake ever recorded on the mountain. 4.2 on the Richter scale, which is not like the biggest earthquake, but its epicenter was very near the ground surface.
Yeah.
Which is not a good sign in a volcano. According to livescience.com, just 3 days later, on March 23rd, a 4.0 magnitude earthquake shook the ground and set off a chain of smaller magnitude earthquakes, about 15 per hour.
Ugh.
Right?
I don't like that.
That's so many. The shaking continued and began to intensify over the next couple of days. And by March 25th, seismographs were detecting, on average, of 3 4.0 earthquakes every hour.
Ew, I don't like that.
More frightening still, aerial observations revealed new fractures in the surrounding glaciers and numerous rock slides. Because this is like a snow-capped mountain.
It is. It's white, full of snow.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not like a Hawaii, like, tropical,
Brown.
volcano. It just looks like a mountain with snow on it.
Yeah, even more beautiful.
You wouldn't ever look at it and be like, that's a volcano. It just...
True.
It's another part that always is crazy to me. Then, on March 27th, after hundreds of additional earthquakes, the volcano produced its first eruption in over 100 years. A phreatic eruption of steam exploded out of the mountain, blasting a 200 to 250 foot wide crater through the volcano's summit cap.
Whoa.
And covered the snowy top with dark ash, which was shot 7,000 feet into the air.
Whoa.
And that's not even the big one.
Right?
She's just warming up. She's like cracking her knuckles. She's stretching. She's like, her neck is like going from side to side.
Yep.
Within a week, that 250-foot wide crater had grown to 1,300 feet as the numerous earthquakes continued, also causing 2 large cracks to run over the entire summit. The earthquakes and steam eruptions would continue over the following days, sending more ash plumes high into the sky, with some of the ash falling as far as Bend, Oregon.
Oh, get out of town. That's far down south.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
That's really far. How does that work?
The wind.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Wind currents. But like,
Are they already evacuating people if they're seeing signs of her getting angry?
people are aware, but no one's being evacuated yet.
They're like, I'm better than this volcano, so like I'm just gonna chill in my home.
We all know what people are like in the face of
Danger.
certain danger. They're like, that's fine.
Can't tell me what to do.
There's always a handful there that are like, you can't tell me what to do. I'm staying. Okay.
Even with the fires happening, people were like, I'm staying in my home. And I'm like, it's a fucking fire.
God damn it. I'll never
Oh,
understand.
humanity, help us.
I know to respect Mother Nature. I'm scared of her.
Don't mess with her.
Okay? Trust. First detected on April 1st, harmonic tremors were growing in strength within the volcano, which is a really bad sign if you live anywhere near that thing. According to Wikipedia, a harmonic tremor is a sustained release of seismic and infrasonic energy typically associated with the underground movement of magma, the venting of volcanic gases from magma, or both, aka not good. You don't want flowing magma anywhere near where you're living.
No, that's almost like more scary because like my volcano is like strictly steaming gas, but like this
could be other things.
is freaking lava.
There's magma
Ugh.
under that surface. It's just hot. And if you haven't guessed by now, the media was having a field day with these eruptions.
For sure.
Everyone had an opinion and nobody could agree. Wow, it's
On
just like...
what?
It's
What is there to
just like-
argue about?
God, it's so familiar.
I hate everything.
And guess what happens when scientists can't agree? No one believes them. Ugh.
That is so infuriating.
So, was it going to blow or was it just letting off steam? Everyone had conflicting opinions. The volcano's activity drew hundreds of curious tourists, hoping to catch a glimpse of the action. On April 3rd, though, Governor Dixie Lee Ray, isn't that a crazy name?
Dixie Lee Ray?
Yeah, it's just a cute name.
Yeah, it needs to be like a country star name.
Governor, she's a governor.
Oh.
I saw a picture of her and she had, oh God, what's her name? Oh, no, I'm not going to remember. How stupid. She was in the Titanic. She was like,
What?
the blowhard lady.
Oh,
What's her name?
shut up. Hold on. Is it Molly Brown?
Yeah, but what's the actress's name?
Oh, shit. Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates. If you look up the governor, she looks like Kathy Bates.
Got you.
Wow, sorry. Can't remember anyone's name. So, on April 3rd, she declares a state of emergency. Things were getting real. And on April 30th, Governor Ray issued an executive order creating a red zone around the volcano, and anyone caught within the red zone without a pass faced a $500 fine, which is equivalent to about $1,600 today, or 6 months in jail.
Oh, snap.
Snap. And but this wasn't counting many cabin owners who needed to visit their property. This is just for the looky-loos that are trying to get catch a ash or something. I'm not sure. Living within that red zone was Harry Truman. And something you'll come to know about Harry Truman is he doesn't like being told what to do.
Is he one of those?
Yes, especially on his own property. He was 84 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he had spent 50 of those years living in the shadow of Mount St. Helens at his home and lodge on Spirit Lake. His wife had helped him care for the place for a number of years before passing away, and now it seemed he felt the lodge was too dear to part with. Which is kind of like, he's like this old blustery guy on the outside, but I think he's just a softie on the inside.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just doesn't want to let it go. But yeah, he was like one of those old crotchety guys who said whatever was on his mind, but the lovable type. So charming little coop, still got a lot of fire in him. He was a community icon, and his fame would only grow when he flat out refused to leave the mountain, which was only about 5 miles away from his home and well within the restricted zone. News reporters began sneaking into the restricted zone to speak to him and to get an interview with Truman, who was always willing to talk. It came to be such a problem that the police finally held a press conference away from the mountain so that Harry Truman could be interviewed at a safer location. Truman said he saw no need to panic. He's feeling these earthquakes, by the way. This is like rattling his home.
I can't even.
He claimed that the mountain was part of him and he was a part of the mountain and he wasn't going anywhere. He had lived there for 50 years, and he said, "You couldn't drag me out with a 10-mule team. I'm brave about the mountain, and I couldn't understand how in the world the mountain could ever get me away from Spirit Lake. I don't think it can."
I mean, the level of stubbornness is off the charts.
Off the charts.
I mean, why would you want to risk dying that way? If you're already old, I'd rather just die of old age. Like, not by a volcano. Like, ugh.
I know. I think he lived there for so long. I think he just didn't believe it.
Yeah, he can't believe it. He couldn't change his ways. He couldn't leave his familiar area.
And there had also been conflicting reports. So he's probably just clinging to the reports that are like, it's probably not going to be that bad.
For sure.
You know?
Totally.
So, yeah.
But infuriating.
I mean, I think he just didn't want to live without it, I think, is the other thing. So that's kind of sad, but stubborn old man. Harry. All right, back to the mountain. In the weeks leading up to the eruption, scientists noticed an ominous bulge forming on the side of the mountain's north face. For the rest of April and the beginning of May, the bulge grew by 5 to 6 feet per day.
This is like underneath ground?
No, this is up on top of the volcano, like towards the top. There's a bulge growing out of the north side of it.
So a big boil.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. We're past it. It's a boil.
We're making it gross here. It's
Ew,
fine.
I hate it. In a matter of weeks, it would expand by 450 feet.
450 feet.
It's big.
It's almost like talk about gross, but like...
What are you about to say?
Like a cyst. Like
Ew.
a...
Why are all those things just named disgusting things?
Like the word is also disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like
the P word, don't say it.
The P word?
What's inside of it?
Oh, yeah, no way. I hate that word. Don't like it either. But, I mean, I feel like everyone that knows at this point Dr. Pimple Popper and all the crazy stuff that she has to deal with. So I know things can just get like massively big and gross.
Yeah, well, it's happening to Mother Nature. She's having a rough day of
Her
it.
skin is going crazy.
Okay. Hormones. So expanded by 450 feet. That's huge. Scientist Don Swanson, a volcanologist, which is like the coolest job name, a volcanologist. Like, how cool does that sound? With the U.S. Geological Survey. He worked on the team studying Mount St. Helens before the eruption and was sent in to assess the danger. He noted that these changes were unprecedented and there is more and more magma intruding into the volcano and pushing the north side outward. So that's what's underneath and pushing it out is magma. Mm-hmm. Also, on Don Swanson's team was a 30-year-old geologist named David Johnston. David's job was to monitor the bulge from a ridge called South Coldwater. At the end of April and early May, the earthquakes had actually quieted down, but they resumed on May 7th, and by May 18th, there had been about 10,000 earthquakes in all since the volcano awakened.
But they're like just, some of them are pretty tiny. And...
Yeah, like rumblings. But can you imagine living 5 miles away from this thing and just feeling that all the time and thinking this is fine?
No, thank you. No way.
Stressed out just thinking about it. Okay. After May 16th, the mountain went quiet again, and the public started to lose interest. They're like, a peaceful volcano.
Boring.
It's so lame. There's actually a scene in the documentary of these people singing on a Portland radio show.
Of course.
And the lyrics are, what kind of volcano merely burps up ash? We want lava, we want lava, we want lava, baby. Booty bop bop bay.
Oh my god, no. So stupid and cringe.
I was really embarrassed for Portland. The
Come
video
on,
was like,
Portland.
I'm so embarrassed.
Ew.
And they're all like in their 80s.
Oh
Vibe.
no.
Yeah, it was great. But geologists and volcanologists knew an eruption was imminent. They just couldn't say exactly when.
Yeah.
Because we don't know.
I bet it's hard to like figure it out. 'Cause
Right.
Mother Nature, she don't tell you.
She tells us just what she wants. She's a mystery. So this put more pressure on local officials to evacuate the 20-mile radius of the potential blast zone. All but necessary scientific and enforcement personnel were evacuated. Hundreds of people. All except Harry Truman, of course. He was still stubbornly refusing to leave. School children even wrote letters urging him to come down from the mountain, telling him his life was more important.
Oh.
And he loved those letters so much that he did come down to visit the kids in their school, but then he would always go back to the mountain.
Oh my god. Imagine that being your grandpa. Like, when you'd be like, Grandpa, but what about me? Like, don't you love me?
Don't you love me more than that? What?
Don't you want to survive a little longer?
For me?
Hello?
I read that he did have property elsewhere. Like, he could have gone elsewhere. He just was stubbornly going down with the ship, you know?
So annoying.
Yeah. Deputy Sheriff George Baker was on duty at the time as a brand new deputy, and he said that they were dealing with things that they had never dealt with before. He's like, eruption and poison gases and lava? He's like, I don't know. That's not what I signed up for.
Yeah, that's intense.
Yeah, but that's what he's dealing with now. And George Baker said Truman thought it would be like the slow-moving hot lava that he could just run away from and avoid.
Oh, you ignorant, sweet old man.
I know. I was thinking like Dante's Peak. Like, that's one of my favorite movies. Have you seen that one?
No, I don't
Pierce
think
Brosnan.
so.
Well, I think it's kind of set in the Pacific Northwest, but it's kind of like the slow-moving hot magma at times. And I think that's kind of like what Truman thought it was going to be like. So he thought he could just outrun it.
I've definitely learned in my years to not look at movies as fact.
Right.
Okay?
It happens. Sometimes they get it wrong. Sometimes they exaggerate.
Yep.
Or,
Just don't think if it's on TV or in the movies that that's how it happens in life.
right. Yep. Movies are not reality. Good. So Truman was quoted saying, I'll just get in my yacht and get out on the lake to get away from that. He said lava instead of lava. To get away from that lava. And if it ever comes down this far, yeah, I'll just get in the middle. He just wants to go in the middle of the lake in his boat, and he thinks that'll save him.
Okay. Do you have enough food? Do you have enough oxygen? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's just
So
not
dumb.
how. It's just not how it's gonna work.
why do you think you're just like this volcano specialist? Like, you just know things.
And if you remember in Dante's Peak, the volcano actually acidified a lake, and then they try and row a boat across the lake, and the boat starts to melt because the lake is acid, and
That's
then
right.
Grandma dies because
Yeah, Grandma dies.
there's acid in the boat.
Ew, that's an awful way to
Yeah,
die.
I guess
you
he
know,
didn't watch all of Dante's Peak, if that's
That
risky.
probably was inspired by Mount St Helens.
I
so-
I was gonna say it's filmed after 1980, yeah, probably in the 90s,
Yeah.
but that's one of my faves. Yeah. So not a good plan. Don't think that's gonna work. So, and also he was of course expecting the volcano to erupt out of the top, like most volcanoes seem to do, but Mount St.
Right.
Helens was about to show them that she was just like a little bit different.
I mean, I learned that with mine too, because like the first eruption went up, and then the people were running, but then it spewed out sideways. And
Yeah,
like,
lateral. That's not the right word.
horizontal.
I just brain farted on the word, but yeah, a sideways eruption.
Right. So like, yeah, I kind of didn't learn that until that episode. So I get that.
You always think it's just
Logic.
gonna erupt straight upwards.
But again, Mother Nature, she surprises
So
you.
what she will. But I think this is a good spot for a quick break.
Okay.
Okay, so May 17th, 1980, the day before the eruption, activity had died down for several days at the mountain, and people wanted to go check on their homes and businesses. They were allowed in only if they signed a waiver and had to be escorted by the police. Friends of Truman said he was scared of all the earthquakes, but was resolute in staying with his old lodge. He was convinced he could get away if he needed to. Okay, May 18th. Hold on to your butts.
Okay.
The early morning of May 18th at Mount St. Helens seemed to be no different than the morning before. The growing bulge on the north side of the mountain was still increasing at the same rate, and the ground temperature showed no indication of an imminent eruption. Wildlife, however, was witnessed acting strangely that morning.
Wildlife always knows early.
Right? It's weird. They always know.
They know.
You'd think that we would have inherited that, or maybe we did and we just stopped listening to it.
Oh, for sure. Like your intuition. Everyone's like, oh, that's bullshit. And it's like, no, you have it. You just don't know it.
You don't appreciate her.
Okay, yeah. Once you see like the birds and shit like leaving or whatever, that's scary.
Mm-hmm. Amateur photographer Gary Rosenquist, who would later get like award-winning photographs of this eruption. He had driven down from Tacoma, Washington, hoping for an eruption so he could get some good pictures. But he didn't really expect anything to happen. I mean, it had been pretty quiet up to that point for the last few days. He recalled a bird flying into his camp 5 minutes before the blast, acting strangely, before giving him a look as if to say, like, what the hell are you doing just sitting here, dude?
Right.
And then took off.
They're like these stupid humans.
They're looking at him like, are you going to go? We're going to go. See ya. There was also a student named Katherine Hickson and her husband. They were camping 9 miles to the east of the volcano outside of the restricted zone. She said the morning of the eruption, things were very quiet. It was a very peaceful day, but the dogs were acting strangely. They were whining and restless.
Ooh, that's so eerie. It's like always the calm before the storm. It's like when it's too quiet, that's when you should be scared.
Like with toddlers.
Yep.
It's too quiet. Where are they? What are they doing?
What are they into?
Yeah. I mean, it's quiet because all the animals are peacing out.
Yeah.
Well, at least the birds. Yes. So she, so she said it was quiet and she was kind of regretting missing all the activity that had happened before because it was so quiet, like when she got there. From her vantage point, different lady. So now I'm going to talk about a geologist named Dorothy Stoffel. And the morning of the eruption, she was heading into the sky with a pilot in a small plane towards Mount St. Helens. She had been granted permission to photograph the volcano from the air. She said, like everyone else, it was a really nice, sunny, quiet day. And she thought, like everyone else, that the volcano maybe had gone dormant again. So she's up in the sky snapping pictures of this thing, which is the timing.
Oh my gosh.
And from her vantage point in the sky, Dorothy noticed something strange. The mountain on the north side seemed to be weeping. There was water running down the mountain as the ice and snow melted from the top.
Weeping though, so you actually meant like tears, like
Yeah,
I was crying.
Like I was crying. Just weeping. Back on the ground, 6 miles northwest of the mountain, volcanologist David Johnston was stationed at the Coldwater Ridge observation site. It was his job to measure the bulging dome on the north side of the mountain and radio back his reports to the U.S. Geological Survey Volcano Observatory in Vancouver, Washington. David Johnston was still in radio contact with the scientists at the U.S. Geological Survey Observatory when at 8:32 a.m. the seismographs started going bananas. The needles started jumping all over the place as an earthquake hitting 5.1 on the Richter scale ripped through the volcano's core.
Whoa.
Just then, David Johnston's radio communication from Coldwater Ridge alerted the world that the eruption had begun by excitedly exclaiming, "This is it! This is it!" Sadly, those would be the last words anyone would hear from David again.
Ooh, it's like a movie.
No, it gives me chills.
It's the only thing that the day after tomorrow didn't do was volcanoes.
Right.
Obviously, the world is going to do all of the things, and
Surprising they didn't do volcanoes. You'd think they would have factored in.
they did everything else.
They need to make another one.
They do, because it was so good. I went to the theater like 6 times to watch it.
It wouldn't be called The Day After Tomorrow. It would just be called Today.
It'd be like right now, yeah.
Currently happening outside. Okay, back up in the sky, geologist Dorothy was in the small plane taking one last pass around the mountain before they went back home. She was still taking pictures when she captured the first moments of disaster. I just can't believe she was there.
Yeah, like that's so lucky. Would that be the right word?
Incredible. Like, the odds are pretty incredible because they were about to leave, too.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
man.
intense.
So, she said nothing was happening when all of a sudden ice began to fall into the summit. Dorothy became super excited at the sudden activity until she realized she was right above an active volcano that might blow.
Yeah.
But hey, the pics are probably going to be worth it.
It's worth the gram.
It's for the gram that doesn't exist yet.
I know.
As the ice was falling, Dorothy was still snapping pictures as she watched something strange start to happen to the mountain. She said, quote, "We could see this fracture opening up," and she photographed the moment of collapse. Remember the unsightly bulge growing on the north side of the mountain? Mm-hmm. Well, all of that meltwater that Dorothy noticed before had penetrated the north face of the mountain, helping to destabilize the ground beneath the bulge. And suddenly, Dorothy was witnessing the largest recorded landslide on Earth.
Get out of town.
I can't.
Still to this day?
I'm pretty sure. Gross.
That's
so
wild.
gross. So this is cataclysm number 1.
Ugh.
She said, the whole north side of the mountain, it became almost fluid, like someone was slicing the mountain in half.
Like Fruit Ninja, just like slicing it.
Yeah, Fruit Ninja that mountain in half.
I'm making great references.
This is going to age so well.
Whatever.
Fruit Ninja's already old.
I know, like no one's gonna know what Fruit Ninja is at this point.
I just can't even imagine the scale of like what she's watching though. It's just it's insane.
Yeah, right. It's so big, and even if you're seeing it in the moment, you probably still can't even
like process it. Like
exactly.
What am I looking at?
Like look at this huge piece of land just
sliding away,
do crazy things.
Yep. So, Katherine Hickson, we talked about her earlier. She was the young student on the ground. She also witnessed this. And she said it was like watching on a grand scale this giant wave as the landslide started. Within seconds, 3.3 billion, with capital B, cubic yards of rock and ice hurtled down the volcano, removing its entire northern flank. But before anyone had time to worry about that, the landslide triggered the next cataclysmic event, the blast. After the landslide had removed the northern flank of the mountain, it exposed the superheated and highly pressurized body of steam and magma below the surface. Kind of like shaking a pop can up or like a bottle and then removing the cap.
Yeah.
And it exploded. Unexpectedly and tragically, the initial and most lethal blast did not go skyward as everyone expected. Instead, it exploded horizontally out of the north face of the mountain, the first lateral blast ever recorded in real time.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's insane. These geologists are probably like terrified, but also so excited.
Like imagine the feelings of like, this is history in the making, but like my life is in danger.
Yeah, I'm in danger, but this is great. Yeah, that was the vibe I got from a lot of the people they were interviewing. They're just like nerding out so hard, but also like this is terrible. So a pyroclastic surge, which is a fast-moving current of volcanic gas and debris, came rocketing out of the mountain. It was a roiling blast of rock and ice and gas, superheated up to 660 degrees Fahrenheit and accelerated to speeds of over 600 miles per hour.
Wow.
Some estimates say the blast may have even broken the sound barrier momentarily.
Whoa.
An explosion equivalent to 500 Hiroshima bombs. Think about that for a second.
I can't.
The blast was visible to climbers on peaks over 30 miles away and was heard hundreds of miles away. The devastating force of the blast ravaged an area almost 19 miles from west to east and more than 12 miles northward from the mountain, with an area extending 6 miles from the volcano. Essentially, all of the thick old-growth forest trees were leveled, completely ripped out and blown to the ground.
Whoa.
At the outer limit of the blast zone, the trees were severely seared and singed.
Those poor trees.
Oh, man, it's insane to see. They really got it. So back to Dorothy in the sky. She said she is looking directly down on the blast, which is coming up at them. And she thought they were about to be blown apart as, you know, the black ash column threatened to engulf the small plane. Because this is like a 2-person plane. It's a small plane.
It's not like you can make a hard left turn and take...
Make a left! But the pilot thought quickly and put the plane into a nosedive to try and outrun the blast.
Oh my God.
Dorothy said, I can't emphasize enough how quickly the blast developed into enormous proportions. She thought they would die, and her mother would never know what happened to her. Luckily, though, the pilot's quick thinking and maneuver saved their lives that day.
Wow.
Fucking lucky.
Like, even putting the plane element in there, and it's a small plane, so you can feel everything, and you're just like, okay, so either we die from smoke or we die from a nosedive. I'm going to chance it nosedive.
I would pee my pants.
I would, like, vomit and pass out.
Oh, God. Yeah, I probably would have passed out. Like, I don't know how you... Ugh. Oh, so scary.
That is intense.
And you're also nosediving towards a volcano area? Like,
I'm surprised they survived. What a story.
yeah. And what a story to come away with. Oh, my God, to be in the air and to have those photos.
Oh, my God.
Crazy. But sadly, others wouldn't be so lucky. Because of the lateral blast, the red zone, which had been based on the vertical blast estimates, was now inaccurate and reached much further to the north than anticipated, putting many lives in danger. Now, remember, we're also dealing with that massive landslide, which is happening pretty much simultaneously with this insane blast. At 8:34, 2 minutes and 21 seconds after the eruption, the colossal landslide traveled up to 155 miles per hour.
Land just moving that fast.
Yeah.
I can't. This is too much.
Moving over Spirit Lake and eventually spilling 14 miles down the North Fork of the Toutle River. And
Toodle.
Such Tootle. I know. I said that in my head. I was like, Tootle.
Toodly.
Tootly. Oh.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. So, yes, all of that lovely landslide spilled 14 miles down the North Fork of the Toutle River and filling the surrounding valley with up to 600 feet of debris.
Wow. So this is just like snow and mud and rock and trees and everything that it's catching in between.
Yeah, and it's hot.
And it's hot.
It's like super terrible.
Yeah.
Everything's bad. When the landslide hit Okay, get ready for this.
Okay.
When the landslide hit Spirit Lake, it temporarily displaced its waters to the ridge north of the lake, creating a giant wave about 600 feet high.
In a lake?
Yeah. So we're just going to throw a cute little tsunami in there for
Girl,
fun.
I'm overwhelmed. I'm about to have a heart attack. There's like planes, volcanoes, and now a wave.
It's so intense. There's so much that
Wow.
happens. This, in turn, created a 295-foot avalanche of debris consisting of the returning waters and thousands of uprooted trees and stumps. So it's like a 1-2 punch, where the landslide started the party and set off the blast, which within seconds leveled all of the trees in the path of the landslide. And then the landslide sweeps in right after the blast, picking up all of that forest ammo in its path, and then goes on to wreak more havoc and destruction.
I'm speechless. I can't.
They just like held hands and just destroyed the world. Like, we're gonna
Here we
do this
go.
together.
Wow, go big or go home.
Yeah, so intense. Then the Pyroclastic Surge, which is all that hot volcano gas and debris, in 2 minutes covered almost 7 miles, pouring over Spirit Lake and engulfing Cold Water Ridge. Sadly, the iconic Harry Truman went down with his lodge. He was killed and buried beneath 150 feet of debris.
Whoa. I mean, that's how he wanted to go.
It was probably, I hope it was fast, but
Yeah.
he had to have seen it. He had to have seen something coming.
That's what's terrifying, is just seeing it.
But then, like,
towards
he
you.
was so close to the blast, like that insane blast. I wonder if his house got leveled from the blast before the landslide hit.
Could have been.
Because, like, all of that shit went over Spirit Lake, which is where his lodge was.
Yeah. Maybe he was just like knocked out immediately.
Yeah, they couldn't even find Spirit Lake after this eruption. Like, it was underneath so much shit.
Oh my God.
So his, like, plan of getting in his boat would just never have...
Lake's gone.
It's just...
Your plan B did not work.
It's never gonna work.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Because he wouldn't have ever had enough time. The second the landslide started, which is your indicator, then the blast happened seconds after. So...
You don't mess around with a fucking volcano. I'm sorry.
God, so terrible. Sadly, also, 30-year-old David Johnston, who was at that monitoring post, also lost his life as the monitoring post just got blown away.
Wow.
Super sad. Katherine Hickson and her husband and dogs were in their car trying to outrun the blast. She said she could see the massive black cloud growing behind them and moving much faster than they were, but they were able to escape with their lives. I can't imagine seeing that in like your rearview mirror.
No, I don't.
And it's coming at you so fast. Oh God, so scary.
That is so scary.
Minutes before the eruption, in the forest, 12 miles outside of the red zone, logger Jim Skamanki felled trees with 2 coworkers, while another logger, Jose Diaz, rested in a nearby truck. Jim said it was a beautiful morning, but they didn't hear much wildlife. At 8:36, 4 minutes after the eruption, the loggers heard someone screaming and yelling as they ran closer. It was Jose Diaz. The logger who had been resting in the truck was now running down through the woods screaming, "The volcano's exploding." The other men couldn't believe it because they didn't hear anything.
What?
And you might be wondering, how the fuck do they not hear the blast? They're pretty close, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even stranger still, why could people hundreds of miles away hear it, but people as far away as Portland couldn't hear it? The answer is science I don't understand.
Okay, but it's science.
Yes. So according to the U.S. Geological Survey, subsequent studies done by the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry demonstrated a so-called quiet zone around Mount St. Helens, extending radially a few tens of miles, in which the eruption was not heard. The creation of the quiet zone and the degree to which the eruption was heard elsewhere depended on the complex response of the eruption sound waves to differences in temperature and air motion as the atmospheric layers and, to a lesser extent, local topography. So that's about as simple as I could find for an explanation for the quiet zone, but basically sound and heat and other stuff mixed together to where there's a radial zone of about 50 miles around the volcano where people didn't hear the blast.
That's also terrifying, though.
Yeah, because they couldn't hear it coming. People described not hearing it. They just turned around and saw this insane cloud coming at them.
That makes it just so much more terrifying.
I was like, a quiet zone? That's not playing fair, Mother Nature. That's a little underhanded.
That's some sneaky
Just
sneaky
sneaky.
tricks you're pulling there.
Yeah, that part just blew my mind. I was like, science is insane.
That is wild.
All right, so back to our friends working in the woods. Jose was running at them, screaming that the volcano was erupting. But the guys were like confusion because they didn't hear anything.
Confusion, yes.
However, when they turned around, they started to feel and hear a huge roaring coming through the woods. Jim said it sounded like freight trains coming through the trees. It was deafening, and there was nothing they could do. It was moving so fast, they were overtaken in seconds. As the pyroclastic surge hit the 4 loggers, everything turned pitch black. They were instantly smothered by superheated gases and ash. Jim Skamanki said he felt as though he were being cremated alive.
Ew, no. But yes, that's... Ooh.
He said the pain was unreal, and there was no oxygen to breathe as pulverized rock and ash clogged their airways.
Yeah, there's no gas mask that they have handy.
No, they're just working in the woods.
Nope.
A mere 4 minutes into the eruption, it is estimated the volcano had taken more than 40 lives. Some of the first lives taken by a volcano ever recorded in the U.S.
Wow.
And I think we should just take one quick break
I
again.
need a breather.
Yeah. Okay, welcome back. So also featured in the Nat Geo documentary was a news cameraman named David Crockett, which these names. Harry Truman and David Crockett. Sounds like 2 off-brand, like, I don't know, Southwestern heroes or something.
Sure.
So close to like real famous people. Yes, news cameraman named David Crockett. So he was 5 miles west of the mountain, and he was speeding away from the eruption in a car. He was about to get trapped by the 3rd cataclysmic event. I guess 4th if you count the little tsunami we talked about earlier.
Yeah, that counts.
The next one is deadly mudflows, known as Lahars. Like burning wet cement, these mudflows inundated the valleys and river basins under as much as 400 feet of boiling mud and rock.
Ew.
Boiling mud. Hot mud.
I don't like this.
Trees were ripped from the roots. Buildings, trucks, and heavy machinery like bulldozers were tossed around like toys. On top of that, the intense heat ignited hundreds of small fires, hot enough to melt parts of vehicles and machinery.
For sure.
At 8:50, 18 minutes after the eruption, David Crockett witnessed an explosion of mud and trees and rocks. He had to pull over and was unable to drive anywhere, so he started filming. And they used some of his footage in the doc, which is like super cool. The heat from the eruption had melted the ice and snow covering Mount St. Helens, unleashing billions with a B again, billions of gallons of water from the summit, creating lethal lahars thick with volcanic debris and ash. So you've already got a fucking mudslide or whatever, landslide, then a blast, and then, oh, we're just going to clean up all this water here and create a nice lethal lahar.
Wow.
Just cleaning it up.
This is very intense.
It's very intense, I'm telling you. So David knew he needed to get to higher ground and attempted to wade through a muddy flow in front of him. He waded in thigh deep and said it felt like warm concrete.
Ooh.
Ew, David.
You, David.
But he miraculously made it across.
I'm surprised it wasn't hot enough that it burned him.
Maybe he was far enough away that it had cooled off. But it was still warm, which would be so unsettling.
Yeah.
You would expect it to be cold, but then it's like, it's gross. But his troubles were far from over as the massive plume of rock and ash loomed overhead. David said it was hard to make sense out of the scale of it as the enormous black cloud blocked out the sky. He described it as full of purples and blacks and greens, and there was lightning everywhere.
Lightning?
How metal is that? Do you want to know about the lightning?
Yes.
So it's generated by all of the swirling ash particles in the air, which creates friction. And then boom, you've got fucking volcano lightning.
I mean, what else can you add in here?
I don't know. It's all of them. It's all of them. She got them all.
Just throw in a tornado and we'll call it good. Like,
oh yeah, there's not a tornado, but Jesus.
I'm speechless. I had no idea.
Lightning, which also started more forest fires, by the way.
Of course. Oh my God.
I feel like I would think the wrath of God was upon us if I was
for
here
sure.
and seeing like fucking lightning come out of volcano clouds.
Oh my god, I can't even wrap my mind around it.
It's just so like prehistoric seeming. Like this is from another era.
Yeah, this should be like from the dinosaur era.
I mean, it probably was. They saw worse than that, probably.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
then they all died.
that
R.I.P.
is crazy.
So yeah, I thought you would be fascinated by that because I was fascinated by that.
Oh yeah.
So the ash cloud projected from the volcano was already miles high and growing larger by the minute. David called it awesomely beautiful and awesomely scary at the same time.
Very 80s.
I agree, though. I feel like most of the people who are interviewed for this are just in this kind of awe. Like, it's just so awe-inspiring, but also, like, shit your pants inspiring. Yeah. It's just this mix of emotions where you're just like, I'm so tiny in the universe and I could just die here because this huge thing is happening around me.
Yeah.
And they lived. So I can't even believe that some of these people lived through it. It's so crazy.
Right?
So Crockett continued filming the whole time and watched as the ash cloud began to consume the sky above him until everything went black. And the doc footage is incredible. It shows this moment, it's fucking terrifying. It shows this narrow horizon line with white light that quickly becomes smaller and smaller as the frame is consumed with blackness.
I want to see this footage so bad now.
So good. You can see him. He's like running towards this horizon line and it's just disappearing. Okay. Now 28 minutes after the eruption at 9 a.m. The fourth cataclysm had arrived, and that's the ash.
This is early in the morning, too.
I know. It becomes so dark, and it's in the morning. It's so crazy. A massive, roiling plume of ash was climbing higher and higher into the sky, forming a large mushroom cloud, reaching 12 to 15,000 feet into the atmosphere after only 10 minutes. It was estimated that 540 million tons of ash and pumice were launched into the sky. These numbers are so big, you just can't even fathom it.
Nope, I can't handle it. Mm-mm.
David was narrating as he was filming, and he's breathing hard, stumbling towards the remaining sliver of light on the horizon. His only reference of like where even he's going. Like you would get so confused if everything went black.
You're right.
So he's running towards this horizon line, and then everything goes black, and all he can hear is the mountain rumbling behind him.
No.
He said the ash was in his eyes, nose, and mouth, and it was getting hard to breathe, and he was sure he was going to die. He said in the video, "If I can just keep walking, if there's just more air to breathe, and I didn't know how badly I wanted to live."
Oh.
David described constant earthquakes. He said the ground was moving the entire time as he filmed and watched the world descend into darkness. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the ash cloud moved at an average speed of about 60 miles per hour and reached Yakima, Washington by 9:45 a.m. and Spokane, Washington by 11:45 a.m. 4 days later, the ash cloud reached the Atlantic Ocean. In 2 weeks, it had circled the Earth.
Whoa.
Wild.
It circled the Earth.
Yep. They have these crazy images of it, like, you know, the news forecasters use, where they show all the wind currents. They're just showing the ash just circle the globe. It was insane.
And that's freeway speed.
That's freeway speed, y'all.
That is. Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. My brain is like having a hard time. And so is Roscoe.
He keeps moaning now, groaning.
I didn't touch him that time.
Okay. The ash cloud was dense enough to block out nearly all sunlight, casting eerie darkness over the affected areas and causing streetlights to turn on automatically at like 9 a.m.
Weird.
So weird. Streetlights remained on for the rest of the dark day as the eruption continued for more than 9 hours, pumping tons of ash into the atmosphere and feeding that giant ash cloud.
This happened for hours. It just
keeps burping it out.
Okay, whoa. Because usually you think like, oh, it's a couple minutes and then it's done.
No. She
No.
kept it up.
Oh.
Documentary footage shows city streets covered in ash, like thick.
Like
snow. It looks like snow, but it's ash.
Gross.
And it looks like it's the dead of night, which is so eerie. and there's cars trying to drive through thick drifts of ash, but as it like continued to fall around them, but many cars stalled when their carburetors clogged with ash.
Oh my God, of course. And also imagine the traffic of everyone trying to leave and get their lives saved.
Yeah, they were just showing cars crashing into each other because the visibility's so poor, and I can't imagine what traction is like on ash. I have no idea. So yeah, it got ugly.
That's probably more like people are like, I'm sorry, but I'm fighting for my life, so I'm going to punch you and I'm keep running. You know what I mean?
Kind of that primal need to get away, so you'll just do whatever.
Yeah.
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 Only the fittest survive kind of mindset. So nearby townspeople, the photos are so crazy. I'm going to post so many photos.
Please.
Nearby townspeople stopped and stared as enormous gray clouds filled the skies above them. Like, people who aren't close to the mountain are just seeing this apocalyptic storm, it looks like, is approaching.
Wow.
And it's like a nice sunny day, so then you just see these giant black clouds. Yeah. It's so insane. At 9:25 a.m., the Forest Service sent in a plane to assess the damage. Volcanologist Don Swanson jumped at the chance to film the eruption from the sky. He said it was an emotional experience for him, and he was able to get a glimpse of Mount St. Helens through the ash. Swanson said, "Oh no, that can't have happened. The top of the mountain is gone." The blast had obliterated 1,300 feet of rock and ice from the summit, and the column of ash rose out of a crater over a mile wide. So she just, like, took her top off.
Yeah.
She just got a little shorter. She took that tippy top right off. It's just a crater now. Meanwhile, the muddy Lahars were now wreaking havoc in the valleys below. They were picking up all those downed trees as it went, wiping out houses and bridges or anything that got in the way. By 12:17 p.m., lava and pumice were spewing out of the crater, adding more fuel to the Lahars. Just what they needed. As the Lahars picked up size and speed, entered both forks of the Toutle River, and became a 20-foot wall of water, trees, and sediment.
20 feet high, that's still so huge.
I know. The southern fork of the Toutle River swelled from its normal 200 feet wide to a third of a mile, which is 1,760 feet wide, and peaked at 21 feet over flood level. Also contained within were heavy equipment and parts of houses.
Ugh.
The Nat Geo documentary footage shows the Lahars approaching the massive Toutle Bridge. This is a huge bridge, and it was fairly quickly just taken out and washed away. You can see the footage. It's
like made out of toothpicks.
It's a giant concrete bridge, and it just floats away. Like, the whole thing just goes in like one big piece. It's insane to watch. And 12 more bridges would be wrecked.
Whoa.
The scale of destruction was beyond what authorities had predicted.
No shit.
You don't say. And exceeded even the most outrageous of initial predictions.
I mean, how do you predict that? You don't fathom that.
5 natural disasters all in one?
Yeah, I'm overwhelmed, Abby. I'm very overwhelmed.
Have you hit a wall for all you can handle?
I think my brain is shutting down.
I see you staring blankly at things like, I
can't
feel
listen
anymore. Don't worry, we're almost done. The National Guard was quickly called in to assist with recovery, search, and rescue. Pilot Jess Hagerman and Daryl Stebner were among those who came to help. They were tasked with flying into the blast zone to search for survivors, and they had no idea what to expect. Daryl, who was a Vietnam vet, said, "This was scarier than Nam, because there's no place we can go with this thing. You don't know if that thing is going to erupt again, and the eruption has a much more severe consequence than an AK-47 round."
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they could both kill you. So Hagerman said, while flying his little helicopter around the ash cloud, he felt like a little gnat in the universe.
Yeah, that's what we are.
Flying in a tiny little helicopter? Ooh.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Puts you in such perspective. And like, this is just Earth, which is a tiny dot in the universe. Like,
and I'm a tiny dot on Earth.
Like, we're ants.
It's so tiny and insignificant.
I don't understand.
So as he looked around, the landscape looked completely changed. Hagerman described how everything was now the same color. The sky, the ground, it's all this muted gray color, all covered in ash. As they surveyed the devastated landscape, they saw that not a tree was left standing. It looked as though a giant had taken a comb and just combed them down. They were all laying in the same direction. It just looks so insane. It doesn't look real. And of course I'll post pics, but I just gotta look up pictures of it. It's so crazy.
The fact that there is so many pictures and footage, ugh.
It's just the orderliness of the way all of the trees are laying down. It almost looks like woven. It's wild. Both pilots flew over the area, and soon they saw footprints in the ash and knew someone had miraculously survived. Whoa. Somehow, incredibly, Jim Skamanke and his co-workers had survived. He was the logger. Jim freed himself from the wreckage. He looked at his fellow loggers and thought, oh my God, they look horrible. And then realized he wasn't doing much better than they were. Jim's clothes were basically welded to him.
Ew.
His gloves had fused to his hands. And the men were in an immense amount of pain.
I mean, add the skin element and it's just...
They have pictures of it.
I don't know if I want to see that.
It's not gory. It's just
knowing that your skin is stuck to it.
You just can see you're like, that looks like his skin, but it's his gloves. It's just crazy looking. It's oh my God. I can't even imagine. So he remembered wondering how long it was going to take them to die as they walked for miles in search of help.
I almost would want to
just lay down somewhere and be like, I'm done.
I'm just going to curl up and die now.
Bye. Jim said the landscape was gone. You had no bearings. The trees had all been decimated. The massive forest they had just been working in was now a mass of downed, smoldering trees with some jagged trunks sticking straight up into the air like scattered toothpicks. Suddenly, the loggers saw the helicopter as they lay on the ground. It was hovering right over them. Jim had collapsed and he was waving one arm. But the helicopter was kicking up all of the ash, which made visibility really poor and also made it super risky to land. And the pilots, they said they couldn't even see the ground until they were 4 feet from it.
Whoa.
So they're just landing in invisible. They can't see anything. It's
so risky.
But they managed it and they rescued the men. And they were all rushed to the hospital after being in the blast zone for 7 hours.
What divine intervention.
I can't believe they survived. It's just...
And being rescued like that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
And that huge landscape. Oh, so nuts.
What are the odds?
The other pilot, Stebner, was still searching within the blast zone when he spotted a man laying on a fallen tree. It was Jose Diaz, the logger who had alerted the others. There is footage of him being found, and his eyes just look so haunted. And, it's really it's really sad to see. And he's just in so much pain and just caked in ash, but still awake. He was also rescued and taken to the hospital, but sadly would later pass from his injuries. Yikes. A few miles away, the ash had cleared, and David Crockett made it. He took one blurry selfie, which shows his shaggy brown hair and mustache covered in light-colored ash. He was coated in it and looked like a ghost, but he was smiling. Soon after, David Crockett was located and rescued after he lit 3 signal fires. The largest search and rescue operation had saved 198 people from certain death, but sadly, 57 lives were lost in the May 18th eruption of Mount St Helens. Autopsy reports showed most died of thermal burns or from inhaling hot ash.
For sure.
Some people estimate the death toll may have been higher, and many believe there may be unknown victims who were just never found.
Yeah, honestly, I was kind of surprised. I would figure it'd be in the hundreds.
Right? 57? I mean, I guess most of the area was evacuated, so that helped. But,
That's
good.
good.
It still exceeded their blast zone. So it was the people, a lot of people outside of the blast zone died. It's just really sad. By the end, the volcano had ejected 540 million tons of ash, and the after effects lasted for months. I mean, the cleanup. I just can't even.
Oh, my God, no.
Back at the mountain, the entire top was gone, In its place was a 1.2 mile wide and 2.4 mile long crater. 1,300 feet had been carved from its 9,600 foot crest, and Spirit Lake had become a steaming cauldron. 200 homes were lost. 200 miles of highway were lost, and railway was destroyed. Countless animals and livestock were killed.
Oh, I was thinking about the animals.
I
Poor
know.
animals.
It's estimated that all birds and small mammals and up to 7,000 deer, elk, bear, and other big game animals were killed, along with thousands of fish. 230 square miles of forest were leveled. Trees amounting to more than 4 billion board feet of timber were damaged or destroyed. And at that time, enough earth material fell off of Mount St. Helens for every person on the planet to walk away with 15 buckets worth.
That sounds crazy.
Insanity. Jimmy Carter actually toured the disaster. He was the president at the time. He toured by helicopter, and he was quoted as saying, "The moon looks like a golf course compared to what's up here."
Oh my God.
Okay. The Mount St. Helens eruption would end up being the most destructive and costly eruption in U.S. history. The cost was an estimated $1.1 billion, which was determined in a study by the International Trade Commission. But what do we know about Mother Nature? She bounces back. By late May of 1980, insects blown in by the wind were already returning to the blast zone. Plants and animals that were underground during the event bounced back first, and the lakes returned to their normal state after about 6 years. Only 6
Wow.
years.
That's crazy.
10 million trees were replanted by the Forest Service,
Nice.
and large game animals soon returned to the area. Only 7 years after the eruption, the area was once again opened for recreational purposes and is still open to this day.
Wow.
As far as volcanic activity within the mountain, it is still definitely active. Since 1980, a new lava dome of over 800 feet has formed within the crater. There have been several small blasts since the mountain in 1980, but nothing even close to that 1980 eruption. Most recently, geologists observed hundreds of small earthquakes beneath Mount St. Helens through 2016 and 2017.
That's too recent for me liking.
Since the beginning of 2018, at least 40 earthquakes in the area have occurred. One earthquake registered 3.9 on the Richter scale.
Oh no.
Scientists estimate that Mount St. Helens will blow again in our lifetimes.
No, wait until another 100 years while I'm dead.
And the next time it does, the blast will likely be even more powerful than the 1980 eruption. So
need
get
to
ready, y'all!
We need to move.
And that's all I got. That's the eruption. The end.
I'm so overwhelmed.
We're gonna get it again.
I don't want to see that shit.
I'm surprised it didn't go down on 2020. That would have been like a cherry on top.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, she be rumbling still.
That
She's
is
gonna pop off.
terrifying.
Yeah, right. That she could just go.
It's gonna happen. We're like going to a concert up there, and just like
Of course,
when we're the closest,
we're gonna go visit. It's gonna explode.
Well, fantastic job, Abby. I'm
Thank you.
shooketh to my core.
I'm glad that I actually really enjoyed writing it. I liked it the whole time. I didn't get sick of it.
That's the thing with natural disasters is just like you're so into it, so you have all these details
I
to
know.
keep going.
I think it's because I don't have like people to be upset with, so I'm not as like emotionally drained.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe it, but
Because like a murder story, like by the end of writing it, I'm like, I just don't ever want to think about this again.
it's way more draining somehow.
Yeah, but this was fun to write about. Even though
Wow.
I'm really sad that people died.
Yeah, R.I.P. those guys and ladies and children and animals.
Yeah,
What a way to die.
I know, so terrible. I can't believe it bounced back as fast as it did. It's just insane.
7 years, you said?
They opened it in 7 years.
Yeah, that's less than a decade.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
Wow. So write in with if you have any stories, I'd love to hear them. Or if your parents have stories.
Oh my God, please.
It's so fascinating.
I have a jar of ash.
You have, I think that's what his mom said. You have a jar?
Yep.
Can I see it?
I don't remember where it is, but yeah, it's either here or there.
It's got to be there. I've never seen it. I think she talked about it.
You
but I
better
couldn't
find
remember.
it. and you better show me.
I didn't get it in my wedding dowry, so I have not seen this. I would think he would have presented it on the day of our marriage to show me, but I do want to see it.
That's crazy.
Because, like, Ash fell here, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild. I can't even fathom.
We have to go touch it.
I just want to see it and hold it in my hand.
Smell it.
Okay. Well, I don't know what to do now after that.
Well, I think normally we do City of the Week.
Okay, let's do that, even though they know. And that goes to Rio de Janeiro.
Hey, guys.
Didn't we have them before, right?
Yeah.
Hi again. Awesome.
Thanks for still listening a lot. We love you.
Sticking with us.
Thanks. What else?
Do
Do you want to talk about anything you've been listening to or watching?
Well, I finally finished Glow Up on Netflix.
I gotta
Which is
watch that.
The makeup competition.
Oh no, I'm thinking of something else. I did finish that. I'm sorry.
You did? What were you thinking
I
of?
thought you were talking about the wrestling, the lady wrestlers. What is that?
Oh,
one
that's
called?
just
That's just
Glow, I think.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's so funny. No, I haven't watched that show.
I thought you started watching that and was like, oh, I heard good things, so I bet it's good.
Oh, I mean, I've heard good things too, but no, I'm into makeup, girl. Are you kidding?
Okay, yes, I am on board with you on that. I did finish it as well, and I was super happy with the winner.
Oh, I feel like the last two, I don't remember the first one, to be honest, but they've picked my favorite, and I was like, yes.
Yes. Both times, the person has won that I was very happy with.
Very satisfying. I just love that show so much. It's very positive
Very positive. Everyone's so
for
talented.
a competition show.
Every time that lady says ding dong, Michael dies a little inside, and I like to shout it.
I love it so much.
Ding dong!
They're just so outrageous with her like big ass glasses, and that guy's like bleached eyebrows and
He's
waxed mustache.
He's like some kind of a kinky sex freak. You just know it, and she's into it.
Oh, I love that show so much. Highly recommend.
Yeah, that's a great one.
And then honestly, I've just been listening to a lot of Angels and Airwaves getting ready for our concert that I'm just obsessed about.
Yep, we're gonna go do that next weekend.
Yep, that's one of our little travel journeys that we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Even had a solid dream about it.
Oh, good dream.
Yeah, I mean, just weird because it was a dream. I was like, I paid to get on stage to like show a picture of us. I can't describe dreams, but it was great.
Okay, well, that's not a bad dream.
I think we're gonna have fun. I think it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, I'm probably not gonna get up on stage or show anyone a picture of us though.
I don't think that's gonna happen, but it happened in my dream.
Okay, well, we have that to look forward to.
What about you?
I don't think we've been watching anything new really. I was just watching all those documentaries this week, but my one of my favorite artists, Brandy Carlisle, is coming out with a new album in October. I wonder if Chad knows that. He likes her
He
too.
might. Yeah, he does.
But she let out a single.
Let out a single.
She let it out of the house.
Go be free. Be free, my single.
My single be free. Recently, and that was really good. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, lots of new music. They're like ready to bring out new music.
I know, like we've been doing nothing else, so we recorded a bunch of music. It's great. I love it.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else. Do you?
No.
And just a reminder, we will be gone for a couple weeks.
Hopefully back soon.
Spread out this long ass episode.
Yeah.
Savor it.
Soon we're going to find out about your surgery. So
Yep, that's coming up soon, and
we're going to figure things out.
maybe
We
live by the seat of our pants.
just stick with us. Life's crazy and hard. And so is a podcast.
Thanks for sticking with us. We appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
We know we're a lot to handle sometimes.
Just a little bit.
All right. Well, I'm going to sign off and say good up and good night.
Good up and good night.
Okay, so for my sources, I watched 2 documentaries, Fire Mountain, The Eruption and Rebirth of Mount St Helens, and I also watched Surviving the Mount St Helens Disaster, which is a 2020 National Geographic documentary. I also visited usgs.gov, pubs.usgs.gov, Wikipedia, Cascadia by Oregon.org, and history.com. Our music is by Broke for Free and Matt Edwards, and we're edited by Michael.
All right. Should I list our social needs?
Please? do.
We have a lot of our things at Anxious and Afraid the Pod. So that's our handle for both of our Facebook page and group, along with our Instagram and Gmail.
We have a Twitter at AA the Pod.
You can support us on patreon.com/anxious and afraid.
If you do that, you get some pretty nice perks. You get ad-free episodes that are released a whole day early, and you get a free sticker.
You can also support us for free if you can't do any of that by leaving a rate review. You subscribe to the show, tell your friends.
Yeah, we would appreciate all of it too right now.
Anxious and Afraid is partnered with the Oracle Network.